Good evening, everybody. I am Melissa Amos, and I am here tonight for episode 3 of Soul Speak. So, as always, I will give you guys a few minutes to show up, and when you are here and when you are live, drop me a comment because then I can answer your questions and get some feedback, make sure I'm making sense and all of that stuff. And yeah, while I'm waiting for people to come on, I know we've got some new people to the page and some of you have not met me before. So I am Melissa, I am a soul coach, and I specialize in the Akashic Records with angelic work, with soul guidance, and most recently soul transformation therapy, which I will talk about at another time. So tonight I thought it would be a wonderful thing to talk about spiritual hygiene, about cords, contracts, understanding how to manage our energy. So I would love to hear what your questions are. I'd love to hear what your experiences are. So as I said, I can see some people coming on live. Just drop a note in the comments because I can't see anybody. I'm just going to comment myself because hopefully that will allow some people to come up. So yeah, if you're live, please drop in, say hello. I'd love to know what your burning questions are. So, spiritual hygiene, what is that about? You know, we all are very good, hopefully, most of us are very good at physical hygiene. You know, we keep clean. Oh, hi, I can see you coming in. We keep clean. We know the importance of showering every day. We know the importance of physical hygiene. For me, spiritual hygiene is super important. Why is this? Well, we are energetic beings, right? We are spirit, we are energy in human form, in physical form. I think most of us that are here on this page that have been drawn to this video will accept and know this. And if you know anything about energy, you know that it is not, it's not separate, right? That we are we are entangled, and there's things we're not going to get into quantum physics today, although we might. But there's things that you may have heard of, like quantum entanglement, that when a particle has met another particle, that it's always going to have an influence on this. And they've done studies on this, so this isn't just like woo-woo stuff, right? This is quantum physics. Who thought we'd be already talking about that in episode 3 of all this? Let me just say some hellos. Hi Mac, hi Kerry. I can see a couple of your little thumbnails on there. So once again, any questions, just drop them in the comments. I will keep an eye on them. And if you know anybody that might be interested in this kind of thing, that you think they might like to know about some spiritual hygiene, please share the video, tag your friends, bring them along. And anyone that does share, hi Caroline, hi Ada, anyone that does share the video, I'm going to pop you into a prize draw and I'm going to send you last week's sound bath as a thank you to the name that I pop out of maybe my cauldron or my crystal bowl. Anyway, so spiritual hygiene, back to it. So what is spiritual hygiene? Well, as I said, we are energetic beings and we have an energy body. So we have a physical body that we want to keep clean, you know, that we keep nice and shiny and we take care of. But our spiritual or our energetic body is more fluid than this. It's we can physically feel when something comes and hits us in the arm or pinches us or stabs us. It's here on the physical body. But if somebody brings an energetic hook, hey Beth, if somebody brings an energetic hook into us, or if somebody comes into our energy field, we can often feel it, but it's certainly more subtle. That doesn't mean, though, that it doesn't have an energetic or a physical even effect on us. I'd be interested to know if you guys have had that experience where you have felt or known that an energy, you know, has, should we say, made its way into our field. Now, we've all had this experience, right? We've all walked into a room and gone, oh, well, this feels a little bit funny. Or, you know, you might be feeling a certain way. Even I was just with a client and she said to me, oh, before we started our session, I was feeling like, oh, I was really tired and I wasn't sure whether we were going to do it. And then we connected and suddenly both, and not being fair, I was tired too. And then we connected and we kind of, you know, dropped into that space and both of us became very energized. And if you'd have said to me 2 hours ago that I would have had, you know, a pretty kind of deep session and now be feeling vibrant and alive, I might have said you were lying. But this is how it is. So what's going on there? It's energy, right? And by us understanding and managing and taking care of our energy body, we are going to feel physically more stable or more vibrant. So a couple of you here are saying yes, that you've felt that when someone's come into your energy field. So, you know, sometimes we can be in the company of somebody else or go into a certain building, not necessarily talking about the workplace that you hate or anything like that, but you know, you can go into a certain place and, you know, be feeling up more, and then you go in and you're like, oh, I feel alive, and nothing's happened. It's not the coffee's kicked in or you've taken something internally, but you are merging with this energy, this atmosphere. So even if you're not spiritual or aware or empathic, we have all had that experience. Likewise, we have been in situations, we've been with people, we've been in circumstances where we can go in feeling all like vibrant and alive and then leave there like, oh, I feel like I've been run over by a bus. And what's happening there? There's an energetic drain, there's an energetic connection which can literally feel as if you're being drained, right? That makes sense. So what's spiritual hygiene? Spiritual hygiene is about understanding this. Spiritual hygiene for me is about understanding that we run over by a bus. Yeah, I felt that this weekend. Spiritual hygiene is about understanding that we don't have to be a victim to this stuff. So I don't know how many people who are watching this or watching on the replay identify as empaths or as empathic, or you know, can know how somebody's feeling. You start to feel how somebody's feeling just by being in the room or even seeing it on the text. That can be really draining, and often a lot of my clients might say to me that, oh, I'm empathic and I hate it, and what can I do? I'm getting some yeses here. What can I do to protect myself from that? What can I do to stop that? And I want to say it's not necessarily about stopping that, but it's about managing that, because with good spiritual hygiene, which I will come to in a minute. All right, loads of yeses here. With good spiritual hygiene, you can learn to not be a victim to that. You can learn to make it more on your terms, so that you can be in that room, and whether you are with somebody who is, you know, going through a hard time or who's really poorly or going into a, you know, high energy or low energy space, and not be the receptor to that. I remember talking, I've spoken about this a few times, so you may have heard me say this before, that we have a choice, that we can either be a transmitter or we can be a receiver. And for me, when we have good spiritual hygiene, we become more of that transmitter. We are more in charge. We are the ones that are influencing that energy more, rather than being at the mercy of whatever it is that where we are walking into, or whatever it is that our friend, colleague, family member or whatever is going through. Because actually, just talking about empaths, actually being an empath to me is a superpower. because to be able to feel how somebody feels and to really understand it from that level, which to me is what an empath, why we are empaths, so we can kind of step into their shoes, can really help us move and transmute and transform that. And I want to put this to you, those of you, I can see a few of you identify as an empath. Maybe you're feeling this way not so that you can be drained. Maybe you're feeling this way so that you can help the other person and yourself, because unity, to transmute and transform what it is that you're feeling, rather than like everyone just kind of more and come down. You as a light worker, as somebody who is learning these skills and is here to hold the light, can help feel that low energy and then know what to do to bring it through your body to bring it up. So hopefully that makes sense, but that's by the by. So I will come back to the questions. I've seen that Kerry said, if you do not feel attachments or bad energies, do you need to constantly protect and cleanse yourself? And Matt has said, how do you differentiate between your energies and emotions and others? So these are two awesome questions. And Caroline, I see that you said that you usually are in a protection bubble. So let me start from the top and then we can work through these questions if it's okay. Keep the questions coming in. I will keep them in my mind, and if I forget, just drop them in again and they will show up for me. And like I say, if you know anyone that this is going to help, please share this video, and I would I'd love to have your friends and family on board too. Okay, so spiritual hygiene, what is it? This is how we start to take control of our energy. This is about, Caroline said about a protection bubble. I want to talk about that. Because for me, when I was taught about protection bubble, I was taught, it was almost to kind of hide myself from it. It was, and for me, it felt very disconnected. It was like everybody else's energy is bad, and I just want to keep in my bubble, and only love and light and all of this comes in, which is wonderful. But if you are an empath and you have that superpower, maybe you have it for a reason, and maybe part of you being here on earth is to help, like I say, be a transmitter rather than a receiver. So I want to take it a step further than that. So those of you who have worked with me before will know that my number one spiritual hygiene tool is the platinum shield. Now, what is this? Now, I've had a download about this quite recently, so you guys are the first to hear this. This is what was shown to me, is that we all have this energy cylinder that revolves around us, and actually this is our transmitter and our receiver. This energy cylinder moves around. Sometimes it's huge, sometimes it's smaller, and you might intuit whether it's feeling big or small at any time. And you'll know this also when you meet other people. Some people have this big energy and you can walk in and be like, whoa, you know, you feel them come in the room before they've even come in the room. And some people can just creep in and just kind of, you don't even know they're there until they're kind of standing there and like, whoa, where did you come from? You know, this is the difference between like the big and the small energy field. Kerry says she still uses the 12D platinum light. So I've been using the 12D platinum light shield, which was introduced to me by my mentor, Michelle, for, I don't know, a year or so now, I think. And it's a tool that I use every day that connects me to the 12, or connects us to the 12-dimensional light. Now, this is the download that I received about this recently, like this week, that we are all given at birth, or, you know, our incarnation, we are all given this kind of cylinder of light, and we can make it bigger or smaller. And this attaches or connects to the different energy vibrations, and it is influenced between how we feel and what we're going in and what we are, you know, digesting in our body. And I'm not just talking about food, you know, what we're allowing in, the company that we're keeping, all of that is all influenced by these things. But what it's influenced by most is our intention and our attention. This is where the 12D shield comes in, because what the 12D shield is it is also a cylinder of light, but it is made out of plasma, of platinum plasma. And it's like, how I experience it is like this thick, it's kind of like a thick liquid light. And it's connected both to the heart of the earth, where the kind of like we are physical beings, right? We are living in this space. We are on earth, and part of our job here is to ground that light. So as we connect to the 12D shield, we are connecting to this. The depth of the universe, the heart of the universe, this how I see it and how it's been presented to me as this Merkaba star that sits in the earth, which is full of platinum light. And we have that same star, as above, so below, as within, so without. We have this same star that sits here in our forehead. And what I do every day is I drop that all the way down through my body, this unity star, through my body and down into the earth, into the same star that sits in the very center. And what happens when it dips into that space, you imagine it's going into this like, this plasma light, this like liquid light. And then my star fills up with all of this goodness. It's like it's upgrading, it's receiving the, what's the earth? It's the divine mother, it's that divine feminine energy. It's that life affirming, you think we can receive everything that we need from the earth. It's it's that pure light that sits in the center. So my star connects in with this, it fills up with its light, and then I start to connect and I start to fill my cylinder, which I already have. I don't think when I first connected with this, I thought that the cylinder I had to create, but this is what's been shown to me. We all have this cylinder, and by us connecting this star into the earth, it brings this plasma into our cylinder. Hi Kelly. It brings this plasma into our cylinder, and then what we can do is we can start to bring it into our body. What this is doing is it is clearing out all of the other stuff. It is clearing out anybody else's things. It's clearing out the lower thought forms, the things that we are, that aren't congruent with that light. And it's giving me a layer of protection, which is not about me hiding. It is about me vibrating so high that anything that is lower than that, it's not even that, this is how it's shown to me, it's not even that it will bounce off, is that it will be transmuted, it will be lifted, it will be, that's how to say it. It's like a star. It's like it will lift as it comes into my energy field. But that just doesn't surround me, that comes within. Now what's important about that is then as I start to have thought forms, as I start to bring things in, like I say, I'm digesting information and all this stuff that's coming in, it allows that to transmute and transform before it turns into anything heavy or destructive or destroying. Does that make sense? So what's this about? By doing this every day, like why can't I just do this once and then that's it? I've done it. Well, because we get depleted, because we do go into the store, or we do go into that situation, and we do have other people who are vibrating at different levels that are constantly having that effect with us, right? So by connecting with this plasma light every day, which is constantly moving and changing and upgrading, and you've seen the Schumann resonance, and you've heard maybe about the light codes that are coming in. All of these things, I think that they're constantly upgrading. They're constantly working with us. That every time I connect with it, this shield is becoming stronger, so that me as an energy body can hold more light, how this appears to me is that this cylinder almost gets bigger, but then my physical body can hold more light. And they say that this shield helps awaken or upgrade that DNA. Now, this is what I love, that when we are working on a DNA level, then you may have seen the studies that as an emotion comes in through, when they've separated DNA, when an emotion comes into the person that holds the DNA, that their disembodied DNA, even 50 miles down the road, still responds to it. So why is that important? Not because my hair that I cut is responding in the trash, but that my children, my parents, my ancestral line behind me and in front of me will also be feeling that effect. I digress. But this is the importance, this is the power of spiritual hygiene, that it isn't just about me feeling better. This is really about making a difference to both my physical, my mental, and my emotional body. So hopefully that makes sense. And there is on YouTube, and I will link it in the comments, there is a few 12D Platinum Shield meditations. There's one on there which is like 5 minutes and 12 seconds or something. I know a few of you that are watching this, I have shared that with you. So if you want to link it in the comments, please do, and you can do it after. And I'm going to recommend that you do it every day. And if you've been to any of my workshops or my sound baths or whoever, if you've been sharing this video, whoever wins my sound bath, you will have the Platinum Shield meditation on that as well. So yeah, so for me, that is step one. I'm just going to come back to the questions because I am aware that that hasn't quite answered it. If you do not feel attachments or bad energies, do you constantly protect and cleanse yourself? Okay, Kerry, there's a few things going on there. Do I need to constantly protect and cleanse myself? Not in fear. Not in fear. By doing this Platinum Shield, you are protecting yourself in light. You're protecting yourself by upgrading rather than, like I say, how I was taught, which was protect yourself by hiding behind. You say if you can't feel it, for me, whether you can feel it or not, it is important to have that ritual, that even discipline to put your energy first. For me, this is the first thing I do in the morning, and I often do it at night as well. And then I may do it during the day. So before I'm holding a session or if I'm holding a workshop, I will just come back into that image and redo it. Does that mean that you are, or I am, immune to energy hooks, energy transference, and all of that stuff? I would love to say yes, but I don't think so. Maybe one day, by doing this every day consistently, maybe one day it'll be like, it'll click in. I don't know. But in real terms, thank you, Kerry. In real terms, we are always connecting, and some hooks are good. Some attachments are good. And okay, this is what's coming in. I want to talk to you about cord cutting. Who's heard of cord cutting? Who's done cord cutting? Who's been told you need to cut those cords? Because I'm really interested in this discussion, because for me, until I learn one really key thing, cord cutting rarely worked very well for me. So please share your experiences with cord cutting below, because I don't think that this is just my experience. Okay, so let me talk about cords for a moment, and then Mac, I think this will answer your question as well, which was how do we know what is ours and what is somebody else's? Okay, every time we make a connection with somebody, we are making an energetic bond, which is great. This is where we get connection. This is where we get friendship. This is even where we, go to that place and then come out feeling vibrant and feeling alive. This is why when we go to the theatre and watch something live, and we come out with that feel-good factor, whereas if we watch the same thing at home, you're kind of, because we are creating these energetic bonds with people. This is where, you just know when your best friend or your sister or your parent or your child is going through something, because we feel something, we know something. And these are also when these beautiful synchronicities happen, when you're thinking of somebody and then the phone rings. Because we have these cords and we have these connections, and this is a beautiful thing. Yeah, we're not here to be alone. However, what can often happen is that these cords and connections become disempowering. And this is where we have an issue. Because we, sometimes we need to make those cords that are disempowering for me. So for example, if one of you guys is going through a rough time and you want to come to me and you need some energy, you're not feeling good or whatever. And so you come to me and, as an empath, as a friend, I want to help you feel better. So I'm pouring my energy into you to help, because you're not in that capacity at that point to be able to do it for yourself. Everyone's happy. I've made you feel good. That makes me feel good. You've gone away feeling better. A-okay. But then what can happen is, if that cord is still there, is that she feels that she can't feel good without my help, or, whoever you're connected with. And so then what can happen is, every time she feels bad, it's like, oh, okay, well, where did I feel better? And without even being in my company, this cord is like, oh, I'm gonna derive from that. She didn't mind before, she won't mind again. And that might be okay for a little while. But if I'm not in control and in charge of it, then suddenly I'm like, why do I feel so drained? Or every time I think about that person, I'm like, oh my God, I actually can't be bothered to do that anymore. Because you're feeling it. Even if you don't think you're feeling it, even if you don't think that you're an empath, or, you're not psychically aware of this, there's something that you're just like, why do I feel so drained? And that can happen super easily. It can even happen if you're not in control of your energy, if you're in this receiver energy. It can even happen if you're walking down, in Tesco's, and somebody there's having a bad day, and you're just sort of like, oh, you want to pour out love, and a lot of us light workers want to do that, right? And they go, oh, well, that made me feel better. And then this little hook comes in, you think, I'm just going to take a bit more. Now imagine you've got 25 people doing that. I'm just going to take a bit, I'm just going to take a bit, I'm just going to take a bit. It's draining, because if you're not filling yourself up, where's that going to come from? It's coming from you. Caroline's like, yes, you can feel it. Yes, you often can. And for me, one of the keys was being aware of it, that sometimes these things weren't my stuff. So Mac asked, how do you know whether something is your energy or not? Well, there's quite a few different ways of doing that. One, it's about being aware of the body. This is stating that affirmation. This is going, okay, today, this is how I'm going to feel. This is being embodied and aware. This is that practice every day of going, okay, how do I feel? What's going on? You can even scan your energy down and go, okay, and just ask that question. Is this mine, or is this somebody else's? The more aware you are, the more embodied you are, the more you'll know what is yours and what is mine. And you'll be surprised by even just asking that question. Is this my sadness? Or is this my anger? Or is this coming from the collective? You'll be surprised at how accurate that answer can be. although I'm going to say this as well, there's nothing separate. So if you're feeling that anger and it's not yours, it has to have attached onto something of yours. So it can be a trigger. This is going into shadow work. We're not going to go into that. I'm not going to go into that so much now, but there's a resonance, like attracts like. Kerry, I often say the kids are pulling bits off me. Kids are a massive one, and with kids, especially as a mother, you've grown them. You have literally had that cord with them. They're a part of you. And you have that DNA link, which you're not gonna cut, however many times you cut cords. So yeah, kids are a big one, and they trigger. Don't they trigger us? But yeah, so I want to say with that is that it's very rarely actually separate. And also I want to say this as well, that we can be linked to, it's not just to other people, it is also to situations, to archetypes, to things that are going on in the collective, that even if we feel we are detached from it, we're not watching the news, or when we're not playing into that energy can, we can be susceptible to that. But I want to say this, if you're a light worker and you are resonating with this, maybe this stuff is coming in not to drain you, but to lift you back to the platinum shield, right? By holding this 12th dimensional energy, that this very high energy, you're helping to move and transmute and transform that. You are always in control. You are always in control. You can always turn it round. But if you have got hooks and cords hanging off you and you've not cleansed that or done anything with that, then you need to sort that out first. So how do we do this? Just a minute. I'm English. I drink a lot of tea. Okay, let's talk about cords. So Caroline said it's something that you have to keep on doing. Okay, I'm going to give you an analogy. So I'm running a workshop tomorrow about the Akashic Records and cutting cords. So I've been really kind of sitting with this energy, and this is what came to me. This is how they showed it to me. When we are cutting cords, okay, this is what I want to say. So think about all this stuff that I've just said, that when we've got a cord with something, there's something, we've allowed something in. It's hooked onto an aspect of us that will resonate with that energy in some way, whether that's through compassion, whether that's through something that's unhealed, whether through that's an archetype that we hold, or something in the collective. We are holding that in our being, and they are holding it in theirs. If we just cut it, 2 cords, one in me, one in you, right? If we just cut it, you are left with the cord, which is not attached to anything else. And they gave me a visual, which I'm sure is in a film, which I have no idea which film it is, but of these like kind of, they were like plugs that are just kind of swinging around. And I'll answer that in a minute, Ada. So when we cut it, it's fine. It's stopped that drain going from me to you. So it's not a case of you going, okay, well, I need a bit more energy. And again, you don't do this consciously. This is just something that kind of, you're used to it. Going, okay, I'm going to draw from that. You can't draw from it anymore. But unless you do something with the cord's still there. And they gave me this image of it being like a plug, and it's just kind of spinning around or flying around, waiting to then hook into something else, because it's used to. It's got like a memory to it, that it's used to having an outlet or an inlet, or both, because the cords work both ways. So this is where things changed for me. When I was having a cord cutting through a shamanic exercise I was doing. This was the difference. Rather than cutting a cord, we are unhooking a cord. We are releasing a cord. It might sound subtle, but there's two things going on here. One, it is kinder. You think, I've got my selenite dagger here. You think about cutting it, it feels quite, it feels quite aggressive. Unhooking it feels more compassionate. And it is getting it at the root. So you can imagine it like a flower or a weed. Think of it as a weed. You can imagine you've got a weed and you cut off the top, and then the root's still there and it's still in the ground, and of course it's going to end up growing back. And not only is it going to grow back, it's going to grow back stronger. So Kelly said that I have lots of cords to cut, but they keep on growing back. This is exactly what's happened. We cut it off at the stem, at the bit that we can see. We're like, there we go, that's gone on. But it grows back, and it grows back stronger. It grows back, it can even grow back more resilient. And you're like, why is this still going on? That's what we're missing. We are unhooking. We need to release it. We need to send it back to wherever it came from. So how do we do this? Releasing with love and compassion, exactly, Kelly and Caroline. Yes, that feels more gentle. So again, they were giving this to me in a lot of analogy, and I think I quite like this analogy. So I will offer this to you. So there's a few kind of steps to this. The first is the preparation. So, well, the first is the awareness. The first thing is being aware, and this is what we've been talking about, understanding that we do this, and being gentle with that, and understanding that this is a natural part of life. We don't actually want to go around in life not creating cords. Creating cords is great, right? It has its advantages. But the first step is understanding when something becomes draining or becomes negative. And also understanding that whether or not it's because I'm draining you or you're draining me, that this is disempowering for both of us. Okay? So the first thing we need to do after awareness is to prepare the land. We want to prepare the landscape. So how do we do this? We do this with understanding and forgiveness. We do this with compassion. So you can imagine the compassion is like the getting the lawn all nice and wet, the getting it prepared. Angie, if you're here, my landscaper friend, you'll understand what I mean. You want to make this easy so that we're not, yanking out stuff and being quite violent with this. We're coming at it from compassion, from forgiveness. Forgiveness twice. Forgiveness for myself, for allowing this hook to appear, for allowing me to take that energy, or for allowing my energy to be used. Because don't forget that making other people feel good makes you feel good. It's not selfish, right? So there's something there that's allowed you to have this hook come in. So we start off with that compassion, that forgiveness, that softness. We're softening the land. We're also understanding that whoever's on the other side of this cord, and that, I understand that this can be, ex-partners, ex-friends, horrific situations, there's all sorts of things. And let me just put another note in there, especially sexual partners, or when you've had romantic relationships or when you've had very physical relationships or emotionally charged relationships, those cords can be deeper and more of them. Okay. And also I want to say these can come through lifetimes, but that's another story. So Kerry's saying, by unhooking, you are freeing. Exactly. So the step before that, you understand I'm forgiving myself for allowing this to happen. I'm forgiving them for, taking my energy, for disempowering me, for, like whatever it is, you're forgiving them because they probably weren't doing it consciously. Rarely is somebody like, I'm going to take her energy, I'm going to hook into her. They're probably doing it unconsciously. And why? They're doing it the same way we all do everything, to make ourselves feel better, to make ourselves feel good. That's what we're all trying to do. So we're forgiving them from that. We're not, it's not like, which we get with cutting cords. I'm going to cut that cord and they're going to be out my life. It's like, you know what? I forgive you and I'm freeing. I love that word, Kerry. I'm gonna free you. We're freeing each other. So then this is what we do. So we've softened, we've fertilized, we've brought that forgiveness. We're then bringing in those two energies together. So what I would do if it's a particular person or even situation that I'm working with is I would invite in the higher self of that person or that archetype that I'm working with. And I would notice where those hooks are. And there may be 1, 2, 3, 10 hooks around my body, in front of me, behind me, side, often our hands, our feet, our knees, our back. It can be anywhere. Just be aware that it can be all around you. I invite them in and say, thank you for coming in and joining me. And we are, like Kerry said, we're going to be freeing each other. And then we are unhooking. We're not cutting. We are taking it out. And you can physically, that's often what I'll do is I will physically, almost like, those fish hooks. I will feel as if I'm physically removing those, untying those. Not just from me, also from them. Yeah, so you can either ask them to do it, their higher self. This is coming from this higher awareness. Who knows that this is good for both of us? This is good for balance. And we start unhooking from both sides. And so you're imagining, rather than having these kind of two flappy electric plugs waiting to plug into something else, the whole hook is then, this is how I see it, coming onto the floor, coming into the, you can use a fire, you can use a flame, you can use the violet flame or the rishi rays, or ask for this cord to be returned to source. Now again, people can say, well, what do you mean return to source? Is that I'm sending it back to where it came from? And there can be that, I'm sending that right back to where it's going, and then there's kind of an aggressiveness with that. No, I'm sending this back so that the energy, because it's just energy, so that energy can be moved and used for good. So that energy can be freed and dispersed as it needs to. So that energy can be returned, mine to me, yours to yours, unhooking, okay? So then you imagine you've taken all the hooks out, I've taken all the hooks out, we are hook free, you are hook free. There's another step to that. Because just like those cords that are, those electric plugs that are waiting to go in, what's happening now, you can imagine if I've literally unhooked all this stuff, I've now got wounds in my body, right? I've now got the pinprick holes of where it was hooked in. So the next step then is to repair. How do we repair? We fill it with light. So this is me coming back into that 12D shield. I am imagining that this plasma light, and again, you can work with what feels good for you. A white light, a golden light. What's that Japanese way that they fix things, where they fix with the gold? I can't remember the word for that. That's kind of the image that they're giving me. That we are filling up that space with light. So that wound, whatever it was that allowed that hook to come in, can be healed. And so that I have not got the space, the capacity, the unwillingness the willingness to allow another hook to come in. Mac, if I say that word, I'm so gonna not do it justice. Kintsugi? I'm going with that. Thank you. Kintsugi, yeah. So if we break a pot, we fill it with gold, and then it brings more beauty into it. I love that. So that's the last step. Is it the last step? That's the next step. We fill up these holes. We allow the healing to come in from that, so that we are not open to more of the same to come in again. From there, there's other things we can do. It depends how deep that wound goes and how strong that bond has been. But you can renounce it in some way. You can affirm in some way that, you know, all my hooks that are and my cords that are unbeneficial have been revoked or removed or whatever, and you know, we come into that affirmation. But this has just come in. So there's another step which I think will be really empowering for you. So you can imagine perhaps that as we are, you know, if we've had these hooks, if we've had these energetic bonds, not just hooks, quantum entanglement and all of this stuff that's going on, that there may be parts of me that are there with you. You know, we even use it in our language. You know, I've given you a piece of my heart. Or, you know, we use this isn't uncommon. So parts of my energy may be dispersed around the globe with anybody, and likewise I may have bits of other people's going on for where I've wanted to help or take things, or you know, or whatever. If I felt low, and this person's come in and felt great, and it's like, oh, I'll have a bit of that. You know, and I think Kerry says something about they take pieces from me. This is kind of different to a hook. So what can we do? We can imagine that there's fragments of us. I love this, that it's like magnetic filings. And you can literally start to call your power back. Now, you kind of don't know where your bits have been. That sounds a bit dodgy, but you know what I mean. You don't know if I've left a bit with him over there or with her over there. You know what they've done with it, what they've been through. So I want to make sure that everything that I have got is coming back clean and clear and full of light into my sparkly cylinder. So what I can do is, it is so simple. How I do it is I just say my name and I say I call back my power. I call back all aspects of me that are ready and willing to return. And I imagine like I'm a magnet, like I'm turning on a magnet, and all these little filings are coming back through my platinum shield, through this light, coming through this light source. And as they come in clean and clear. Anything that is lower moves and transmutes and goes into light, and then it returns to me into whatever part of me that it needs. And then I do the same back, because come on, like, just because I'm doing the work or you're doing the work doesn't mean that we are perfect. You know, it goes both ways. So I am now returning back anything that is not mine, however good it feels. Because even if you've got like Mr. High Vibe over there, you know, his energy within you, and it's making you feel good, actually that's separating you from your own strength and your own power. So you give it back. And when we give it, good or bad, when we give it back, we are giving it back through the light. Because there's no point throwing low energy at someone when you have that capacity and that ability to be able to give it back cleaner and lighter. So what I do is then I kind of imagine that magnet is like turning off or going into the opposite, and then anything that's not mine is dropping off, going through the light, being transmuted and transformed, and return to source. Either to source, to God, to light, to divinity or whatever, or back to the person, place or scenario that it needs to be. And that leaves me clean and clear. And then I would then spend a few more moments in this platinum shield, just breathing in, like really filling myself up with this platinum light energy. That all make sense? I have got a few minutes for questions, so please add them in. I'm just going to go back and look through. Ada says, I used to do Kyle's 101 protection every day. When I do the Platinum Shield, I do not need to do this. I use the Platinum Shield as mine. I find that more encompassing and strong, and I know that I'm working with the 12-dimensional light. You know, we've heard 3D, 4D, 5D, right? I'm working with the Platinum Shield. I'm working with the 12-dimensional light. That's like the highest frequency that's available to me. I'm working with the heaven and the earth. So what we're doing is we're coming into the plasma in the earth, and then we are also grounding up to the to Andromeda, to the cosmic heart of the universe. So we're standing there in both polarities, and we are here centered and whole. So yeah, you don't need to do both. That's enough. That is more than enough. But you do need to do it often. How it was explained to me is that the first time we do it, we're able to hold so much light, and every time we do it, we're able to hold more and more of that. So you can start off doing it two or even 3 times a day, and then just coming into that feeling. But when you do it, really dip into that plasma feeling, that liquid light feeling. I also want to say something else in this, and I think this is something for another workshop or another Soul Speak, because I am getting downloads after it, but it's not quite formulated. So at the beginning, Kerry shared the link to the 12D Shield. At the beginning of this process, we say this: my declaration and my intention is to serve my source. I commit to serving my highest power wholly, truly and completely. I am God, I am sovereign, I am free. This is what we say at the beginning of the 12D Platinum Shield. So what's going on there? This is about me aligning with my highest self and aligning with my highest truth. This is about me understanding who it is that I'm welcoming in, and who it is that I am being guided by. That is super important. It's 5 to 8 and we've got like 3 minutes left. So I don't have time to go into all of that now. But again, if you've got any questions on that, do. But for me, that is as important. That declaration of your intention every day about who you are serving and where you are showing up and what you are, where you are receiving your guidance from and where you are connected to. That is that's super important to how we manage our energy. Kelly says, is there a crystal or perhaps the Merkaba star we can use as a tool as well to connect with the Platinum Shield? I'm wondering if that's what that question is. Just talking about, we're talking about spiritual hygiene. There's a couple of things I do. Shungite, hematite. This shungite, which I clean every time I put it on, it's got the Hamsa here, which is protection. I wear this for protection. Not because I'm scared that the boogeyman's going to come and get me, but it's a few things. It's a reminder to me that I am, the keeper of my mind. So Ada, you asked about that. That's one of the things from Kyle's psychic protection. I am the keeper of my mind and body. I love that, and soul. So this is a reminder of that, but also shungite as an energy is it absorbs the EMF, it absorbs the kind of the darker energy. So I wear that on my left arm because the left is my receptive. This is what I'm receiving. So I do that. And yes, this can connect you to both your soul star and your earth star, the shungite and the dark crystals. In terms of the Platinum Shield, I have a copper Merkaba that sits here all the time, but I took it home today because I was working with a client. So yeah, I love that. I've got a copper Merkaba, but quartz Merkaba would be awesome as well. And Merkaba is the six-pointed star, but in 3D. And actually, this is how I see this. This is from the soul transformation stuff, which I'll talk to you about another time. But I see us in this actually huge Merkaba here, which from our perspective looks like a cylinder. But we'll talk about that another time. Kerry said shungite and carnelian. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. And when the orange today, it felt like that great energy. So I hope that that has been helpful. We have discussed about the platinum shield. We've discussed about daily protection practice and the difference between protection hiding and protection kind of tuning up the energy. We've spoken about cord cutting and cord releasing and transmuting, and the importance of understanding and forgiving whichever side of the coin, whichever side of the cord that you are on. If you have any questions, then I am going to be back here next Monday. If there's anything that you want me to bring in, I think next week we might do a bit of law of attraction stuff, because I've had quite a few questions about that, so maybe we can talk about that. Karen says super helpful, thank you. Kelly says this was excellent and informative. Ada says this has been so great. Melissa, thank you so much. Well, I want to thank you all for coming on and staying with me for the hour and watching. Thank you, Mac. I am back here tomorrow, Tuesday, running an experience in the Akashic Records all about cord cutting and releasing stuff. So if you are interested in that, then send me a direct message either on here or to my email, and I will give you some more information. Otherwise, if there's anything that I can do to help, if you want to book a private session with me, please get in touch. And if you know anyone that this video would help, please tag or share. I would appreciate it. In the meantime, happy Monday, and thank you again for watching. I've been Melissa, this has been Soul Speak, and I will see you all next week. Take care.